Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have gone through the gauntlet. We are on round 10 wrap up for La Liga. I am your host and commissioner, as always, the commish. We've got a very, very special guest. I'm here, the commissioner's here, the assistant commissioner's here, and we've got the vice commissioner and GM of the West Division Angels Ward's Angels squad. Joseph Ransom Harris. Thank you for stopping by. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Kamish. Got my cold brew here, ready to
Cold
talk
brew.
some fantasy with the one and only Kamish.
Well, you're going to need some caffeine because we've got a lot of things to run through today. We are talking round 10. We are talking administrative systems of La Liga, and we've got the whole main administrative crew here. Now, last two episodes ago, we're on location in Minneapolis with Michael. Nellie and I were lucky enough to get to see you in person as well. What was it
Mhm.
like to meet, the assistant commissioner for the first time in person, and kind of talk some shop with her?
It was great. It's great to get to hold her, talk a little fantasy. Um, she
Mhm.
whispered in my ear a couple picks here, so I may have some Nelly
Oh,
insight for this upcoming pick here. So it was great to meet her and hold her and to spend some time with you and Kirsten.
that is a fantastic point. We've uh we've got Joe on the clock today. So at some point, it depends on what your analysis is, what you're going through with your analysis, but you might be making a live pick on the the wrap up today. And can you confirm that you might be selecting one of your players right here, right now?
I will. Do you want me to make it now, or do you want to wait further on?
Let's wait a little bit. You see my screen? Here's Vice Commish meeting, shaking hands with the Assistant Commish for the first time.
Beautiful sight.
Yeah. Uh, Perfect. All right. So we did talk a lot of fantasy football in person in Minneapolis, but we also talked some personal stuff. You and your fiance Grace are actually planning your wedding coming up here in early 2026, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, how's that going? And how excited are you for the wedding coming up?
It's going well. We booked the venue and we just recently booked a band, got the
Oh,
photographer booked, so things are kind of falling into place. Um,
mm.
but I
Big
did
band.
tell
La Liga is pro band, a big pro band, so that's going to be pretty exciting. Any specific songs you're excited for the band to play? If you got a number one or top five that you're just like that's a go-to for you.
man, I haven't thought about it. We really want to nail down the set list.
Mm.
But we'll have to talk to Grace, throw some
Yeah,
bangers in there, get the people on their feet, having fun.
yeah. I'm a
Um,
big Dancing Queen guy myself, so Dancing Queen, that's one of my favorites. If
Stacy's mom, I feel like you're a big Stacy's mom guy.
Stacy's Mom is also a great one. I'd say both of those. Those are both top 10 in my eyes. Um, So super excited for you for that. I think,
Okay.
in terms of La Liga, you know, if there's a playoff run, if you win a championship in La Liga, is that coming up in some of the speeches at the wedding, or can you commit to a little maybe next to the baby photos, you get a little trophy for the Liga championship?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I told Grace that the second this draft started, the wedding planning is just gonna have to take a back seat.
Oh
We're all in
man.
on the on the fantasy La Liga.
Yeah,
So
you can't burn the candle at both ends. You got to commit to the La Liga Dynasty draft. Um,
exactly.
Fantastic. So we mentioned your position as the vice commish.
Mhm.
When the board got together earlier this summer, or spring, I should say, and we're talking about potential vice commish for La Liga. Your name was number one. You were the number one guy. You've got experience in Dynasty. You're one of the top minds in the fantasy game right now. You've got that name recognition. Um, and I think we put a good you know, a good pitch out to you. You said yes. When you look at that vice commish position, in let's say in the first year, what do you really hope to accomplish as vice commish this first year? And how do you see yourself growing into that position?
Yeah, I think the big thing with this league is, a lot of the guys are new to Dynasty. So I
Mhm.
feel like a big goal as vice commission then with you would be to try and get some buy-in from the league.
Yeah.
Hopefully have a fun, successful first league and get people excited about Dynasty and the league as a whole. And hopefully get people to be excited and committed for years to come. I think is the biggest thing because it can be a lot of fun as long as people are committed and active and making trades and things like that. That's what makes the league fun and doing stuff like this makes it a lot of fun too. So those are the big goals in year one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's just a lot of questions out there, a lot of people think the me as the commish that I have a lot of answers, but first couple of board meetings and then they're throwing at me, what's the veto policy for trades, what's playoff rounds, are we reseeding like the NFL, is it more of a traditional bracket? I mean, these are
Mhm.
all questions that we want ultimately in the first year we're gonna need answers for, but ultimately, this league is going to evolve, it's going to grow, and we're gonna want GM input, we're gonna need administrative input, and as the fan base grows, we're probably gonna have to get some fan input in there too. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is those La Liga cash prizes. So obviously most of our GMs know this, but a lot of the fans don't know. How are we going to get that buy-in for the long term, but also the short term? So I wanted to just run through those cash prizes with you and kind of and pick your mind, pick your brain about how you think that will go, pros and cons to these things. Um,
Mhm.
so we're going to talk about cash prizes. We're going to start from the smallest and we'll reach up to the biggest. First of all, we're going to do a weekly regular season cash prize to the single week top performer, top team scorer, points for that week will receive $5. So that will be weeks 1 through 14 of the season. Whichever team performs the best in that week, that team will earn $5 that will be cashed out at the end of the year. Now we're talking to $10 prizes. We're going to be giving out $10 each to the West Division and the East Division champion. That's the regular season champion each year. Now that's not quite a lot of money, but these divisions, there's rivalries, there's divisions in La Liga, and we want to just represent that division title with a little bit of monetary success. Then we're going to do $10 for the top points for performer of the regular season. So that's the regardless of division, regardless of everything, weeks 1 through 14, who was the top performer in points scored? That individual team will earn $10, and that leaves the big chunk of money, La Liga champion, $400 to La Liga champion. You don't get anything for second place. This is about the ring. This is about the trophy. $400. Now, Joe, you look at that. There's some small sprinkles of money in throughout the season, and then the big cash prize at the end. What are your initial thoughts on that? Are there pros and cons to just divvying up the money that way? And if there's anything that you would change, would you consider changing that?
Yeah, I like the breakdown. I haven't in other leagues I've done, we haven't done the week to week prizes, which I feel like incentivizes people to stick with it, even if your team is not looking great down the stretch. You
Mhm.
can still try and put up the most points in a week and get some cash. Um, and I kind of like the winner takes all. I've always done
Yeah.
first, and then second gets something, and then third a little bit. Um, but you sort of got to go all in for first place or nothing. If you ain't
Yeah.
first, you're last, as Ricky Bobby would say.
As
So
Ricky Bobby, the great Ricky Bobby once said, another sports hero of ours. Um, I think, we need internal motivation from our GMs to stick with the league. But I think a little bit of incentive for maybe some of those rebuilding teams, like you had said, I think that will help with the longevity of the league. Now, like we said, we're building subcommittees, we're getting input from the GMs. Now, if at some point there's wanting to be changes where second place gets some money back and things like that, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. But league season one, year one, we kind of have to have that dictatorship. We got to have the rules set, and then we can go from there. So that was the decision I made. But we're always open for change.
yeah,
Uh,
my other league does from the jump we get our cash prizes for first and second, and then we put half of the that year's earnings into a pot, and then it just continued to grow until somebody won two in a row, which
okay,
I feel
too.
like was a fun added element because it kind of put a target on people's back, the previous champion, to try and repeat.
Yeah.
Um, so teams, if they had won the previous year, they would sort of go all in on the next year. So I added an interesting element. So maybe something we could think about
Yeah, we
in
definitely can
the
discuss
future.
that as a possibility. And they say that repeat champion, one of the hardest things to do in any sports league, right?
Mhm.
Which we're gonna be talking some of your fantasy football experience, and I think you might have a story to tell us to, at the end of this episode. A lot
Maybe.
to look forward to through this episode. We've got Joe's live pick. We got some stories about Joe's success in his other leagues. We've got a lot going on for us, but we're gonna start with our first um, sponsored segment. Our first sponsored segment is going to be our handcuff of the round. Handcuff pick of the round. This is brought to you by the Lion's Den Adult Superstore. Adult Superstore, Lion's Den, they've got all the products you need from sexy handcuffs to other accessories for all of your wants and desires. Lion's Den, located just off of Highway 41 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Joe, have you ever been to the Lion's Den off of
Not
Highway
yet,
41?
man. What's the
Not-
closest lines then to Minneapolis?
Oh, well,
I hope it's
baby,
not Oshkosh.
you're gonna have to go back home. Maybe, you know what? Next time we head up to GB for a Packers game, I know where I'm stopping because I've seen, as our sponsor lines, and I've seen some of the things in there. My eyes grew wide, and I said, we're stopping at the Lions Den. Maybe the whole West Division as a whole. We get our hymn sponsorship. We take a couple hymns. We go to Lions Den and have a great time. What do you say about that?
I'm down, always.
All
You
right.
have me at hymns, man.
That hymns. So our handcuff of the round, it's got to go to Will Reynolds' pick of Zach Charbonnet. He moves up to midway through round 10. He grabs his Kenneth Walker handcuff and Zach Charbonnet. So he's got the whole Seattle backfield. Thoughts on the handcuff? Thoughts on securing that full Seahawks backfield for Will Zaddy Reynolds?
Yeah, I mean, not a bad call. Obviously, it's good to have an insurance policy, especially with Kenneth Walker's injury history. He seems to always miss a couple games, so he's got somebody waiting in the wings. Um, as far as Charbonnet, I was looking at his game log last year. He's sort of hit or miss in his starts, um, but definitely helps, especially in Dynasty. You can get super thin at running back, so just to have a body to throw in there really helps.
Yeah, Charbonnet certainly has the skill set to be a quality back in the league. He just hasn't, in his time in the league, he just hasn't had an opportunity to be a number one. We look at Kenneth Walker last year. He misses 4 games, it looks like, due to injury. He's a pretty violent runner. So if he goes down, it looks like Will's not going to be losing too much when he's able to put Charbonnet in there as his handcuff. Zach Charbonnet, the Lions Den handcuff of the round. That got me a little excited, Joe. Let's get a little bit more excited. Are you ready to make your live pick?
Let's do it. Might as well.
Let's go. Let's take a look here. We are looking at where are we at? We're at round 10, round 12.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just we're into the double digit rounds. You're just kind of looking for upside. There's a lot of these like older veteran players
Hmm.
like Ridley and Diggs. Maybe get a year or two.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm really looking for more upside. So at these later rounds, I try and take shots on rookies. So right here, I'm probably going to go with Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams, New
He's the
England
pick, man.
Patriots. He, with Stephon Diggs out for at least the first 4 weeks, people are looking at Kyle Williams to be one of the main targets for Drake May. Have you hit draft? Is it official?
It's official. Check out your app, man.
Set it in. Sleeper app, just so quick on the notifications. I haven't gotten mine yet, but we can say for certain Joe Harris selects Kyle Williams round 12. What makes you excited about Kyle Williams here at that?
For starters, I give Aaron Moyer 60 seconds to have his pick in. It's usually about his over under.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the lightning bolts in the West Division chat here. Let's go.
Yep. Kyle Williams, he's third round pick. So he's got decent draft capital, and like you said, Drake May, quarterback, up and coming. They're sort of surrounding him with weapons to try and help him be successful. Not a ton of competition at the wide receiver position. I mean, you got Diggs coming off an injury and going on a going on a boat cruise. Um, so
He's
I think
gonna
he's got
have
an
on the boat. I
opportunity
think
to
that's called
shine.
aqua. I believe that's aqua therapy.
Aqua therapy?
I think that's what that's called. I
Yeah, that
think that's
sounds
what
about
that
right.
means.
Uh, so
So
he's got
it,
every opportunity to be successful. So and like I said, in the double digit rounds, you're just taking shots where you can take them and hope guys can emerge.
yeah, I mean, people are penciling in Drake May for a pretty fantastic year this year. If he's going to put up numbers, he's going to have to find some of his guys, someone he trusts to be able to hit for some big games. And why not Kyle Williams? Why not? So Kyle
Hmm.
Williams in the 12th round. Um, Fantastic pick. Nelly's excited about that pick. Uh,
A little disappointed Moyer hasn't gone yet.
Oh yeah. Well, where's Moyer right now? We'll have to get him on the phone. We're gonna go. We're gonna switch gears. We're gonna talk playoff system for year one. Um, Now I'm the commish. Sometimes I'm up. Me and my assistant commish are up late. We were up at around 1:30 last night. We were hitting the drinks. We were talking playoffs. And sometimes we get a little bit excited. We get our own ideas and this league is going to be unique. We're talking unique playoff system. Let's talk details. We've got 10 teams. We're going to have six playoff teams making it to be able to have that chance to win the championship. We're going to have the two top performing teams, two top points for teams with the first round bye. And then each round of those three are going to be 1v1 single elimination, and it's going to be reseeded each week, just like the NFL. So top seed will be playing the lowest seed in each week. Now that all sounds pretty standard. The one thing that's going to be very unique about this league is the last week's points for from the winning team is going to be added on to each week cumulatively in order to have week 17 be a cumulative score from all of the playoff rounds to see who is the champion. Joe, when you look at that, other than all the numbers flying through your head trying to figure out what the commission is talking about, How do you feel about that way of doing things? What are the pros and what are the cons to you?
Did you say points for determines seeding, or is it based on record?
Oh yeah, so I misspoke there. So top two records regardless of division. I said points for. I meant top two records regardless of division there. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you for
that
making
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've never done a playoff style like that with the carryover of cumulative points, and then I like the reseeding too. I mean, we've all been in leagues where one side of the bracket seems way tougher than the other side. I
Mhm.
sort of like how it reseeds based on how you did.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think it'll be fun. It'll be give it a good shot for the first year and see if we like it.
yeah. So I think some of the pros to that cumulative over those 3 weeks is that traditionally you have to look at the players in weeks 14 through 17 to see if those are good matchups and to consider that for the playoff run. But I've always felt that there's a too much randomness when it comes to just a 1 week championship. Now, some people, purists, will say, well, that's how fantasy football works. And I understand that, I respect that. But I think in terms of the championship, in order to throw in a little bit more analysis, a little bit more stakes, a little bit more decision making based on how you've been doing the last 3 weeks, you're going to be throwing in more conservative players or more or high ceiling guys based on whether you're behind or in front. And then also you got to take into account that, maybe someone has a really poor week 14, but they play a poor team and all of a sudden they're squeaking through the playoffs. Well, not anymore. Now you're going to have to, that round, that week 15, you're going to have to make up for that and come back and score more points than your opponent, even more points than your opponent in order to secure that win. So we'll see how that works. I think the subcommittee on litigations might get some complaints this year on that, but sometimes we just gotta we gotta let it play out and see how it goes.
Right on. Yeah, should be fun. We'll see how it goes.
All right. We've got our second segment today. Our second segment is going to be our Brothers Bar and Grill backfield of the round. Brothers Bar and Grill, they've still got one left. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. RIP to the Minneapolis Brothers Bar. RIP to the Madison Brothers Bar. A lot of good memories, a lot of bad memories there. Um, Brothers in Madison, my first ever legal drink slash illegal drink before it got demolished.
Where was Brothers? I don't think I ever went.
It was
Where
demolished
was it?
before you were a twinkle in your eye. It was on the block where the music building is now in Madison. The music building, yeah. So right there on what is that, University, like you got Church Key on one block, and then there's
Oh,
the
yeah.
building. Now it's pretty much just grass. It's beautiful grass but back in the day, it was a nice grubby bar that if you've got your brother's ID after the Packers Super Bowl victory, you can go in there, you can hold two pitchers at the same time, and you can your dance the night away and celebrate Aaron Rodgers being the greatest quarterback of all time. Um,
Amen.
we're talking about the brothers backfield of the round, and we're going with the Giants backfield. We've got two picks in round 10. We've got Cam Scatterbo and we've got Tyrone Tracy. Interestingly enough, Tyrone Tracy goes after him, even though he's number one on the depth chart. How do you feel about those two picks? How do you feel about the Giants offense as a whole? And if you were those GMs making those picks, who would you rather have? Scatterbo or Tracy?
Yeah, I think I picked just before Moyer there, and I
Mhm.
was between Scattaboo and Luther Burden the third.
Mhm.
The one thing that scares me about Scattaboo is he was a day three pick. I think he was picked in the fourth round, so he sort of slid in drafts. Had he gotten a little earlier draft capital, like even third round, I would have felt a little more comfortable taking him just because those guys they have such a short leash, you know. You get one chance in your first year, and if you're not producing, they're pretty quick to move on, especially if you're a fourth round pick.
Mhm.
But he's got every opportunity. I mean, Tracy had a solid rookie season, but I don't think they're super bought in on Tracy either. So I think if Scadaboo comes in and shows something, he could take that backfield over pretty quickly. Um, and yeah, like I said in these later rounds, I'm going more for upside. So I would have gone Scadaboo over Tracy.
Yeah. Yeah, we look at Scatterboo. He had a fantastic senior year at Arizona State. Well, I shouldn't say senior year. I don't remember if it was a senior. His last year at Arizona State. There's no such thing as years anymore. You can play for 6 years, you can play for 3 years. With COVID, someone's going to be playing for 8 years in college. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
Tyler Shuck. What did Tyler Shuck? Is he like 26?
yeah, I believe so. So Scatterboo had a fantastic, productive year at Arizona State, but he comes in with some pretty poor measurables. Eye test, he's a big bruising back that can get the yards, but when you look at his speed, when you look at his agility and things like that, people are worried about that transitioning to the NFL. Whereas you look at Tyron Tracy, he kind of he's quiet at the beginning of last year and he starts building his case to being the number one back in the Giants. And I had him in one of my leagues in the last year and he finished strong and pretty much Devin Singletary is basically old news at this point. Tracy kind of grabbed that backfield. But it'll be really interesting to see that, Tracy played a lot of wide receiver in college. He's a back who can get receptions. Some people see Scatterboo as kind of a third down back. There's going to be a lot of competition in that backfield. I'm really interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Tough team. I mean, they're put a lot of that's riding on Jackson Dart too. If he can be good, he can free up the running backs a little bit.
Absolutely.
Last year defenses were just could just sell out on the run. Um, so if he can show something and get that offense moving, that's part of the issue too, is like you just don't project them to score many touchdowns.
Yeah.
So if they're a better offense in the red zone, then you'd feel better about Tracy or Scadaboo getting some touchdowns. But
Yeah. Yeah. So you're predicting a rookie or are you predicting Russell Wilson or some mix this year at quarterback for the Giants?
I forgot Russell Wilson was on that team.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Man, he's been
Well,
just tossed
we'll see.
around.
We'll see what
Uh,
happens. He's had some decent year in at the Steelers, but the him with the Broncos was an absolute train wreck. So
yeah, Wisconsin legend, never forget.
yes, absolutely.
I would say Russell probably starts for 6 games or something like that, and then Jackson Dart comes in at some point.
This episode is brought to you by the Lion's Den. Pleasure, passion, romance. Take me to the Lion's Den.
And we are back at La Liga draft wrap up round 10. Joe Ransom Harris, it's been great speaking with you today. We've had some great analysis. You've had some great analysis, and we've talked shop on kind of how we're going to be planning on getting this year one run. Um, with that, I gotta ask you to give us a little bit more info on your experience in your past leagues. You had mentioned a little bit about this concept of saving some of the pot and trying to get that back-to-back champion, some extra dough, some extra prestige. Tell me about that experience and tell me about your success in that league.
For sure. Yeah, this league we're going into our 7th season. And it's always been a goal to try and go back to back. We've had two managers they've gone to the championship. They won it the previous year, and then they made it to the championship game,
Yeah,
and then they lost.
so close.
Uh, so close. And so I finally had my chance. I had won our 5th season, and then going into the 6th season, my mindset was I'm all in on this season no matter what. I'm okay holding the bag with some of these older guys to just try
Hmm.
to take my shot when I have it. So I just went all in on these old guys. And my roster's got Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, like Travis Kelce, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey,
Some of those
any old
proven
guy that you
vets.
could think of.
Some of
What's
those
that?
proven vets.
Yeah, I mean, they've been great. Man, Derrick Henry, every single year, people think it's going to be the end. And they've been saying that for the last 3 to 4 years, and he
So,
just keeps producing. So Finally had my chance and ended up pulling through and winning the championship, going back to back. So took home the pot, and it'll be interesting holding all these old guys, but it was worth it to go back to back. So it was a lot of fun.
You know, as a fan base, all the fans that were cheering you on, I mean, like sometimes there's nothing more important. That's why we play the game is to get that championship trophy, to get that ring. So I mean, really, sometimes you have to rebuild after those dynasty windows, but you know, to get those two in a row, um, certainly gonna maybe put a little bit of a target on your back here at La Liga when some of these other GMs see that. But you know, that's where you want to be. You want to be at the top of your game. And like I said, you are a top mind in the fantasy sphere. So it's fantastic to have you here. Any final thoughts on the season coming up, your team or the league as a whole?
No, I think just overall, I'm excited. It's been interesting seeing everybody's different draft strategies. Some teams seem to be in win now. Some are sort of a mixture. They could go either way. I feel like my team is could go either way.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
compete now, or maybe I need to be competing in 2 to 3 years. Um,
Keep on
and
looking for
then,
that value, right? Keep
yeah,
on
yeah,
value.
yeah. I think it'll be fun. I'm excited.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Joe. You have a great rest of the day. So this wraps up round 10. This is our last single round wrap up, but don't worry, more content is coming your way. The fans will not be missing out. We're gonna do a whole late round wrap up and then be looking out there for some episodes on draft grades for the East Division and the West Division when the whole draft is complete. So we're going to keep on having some fun until the season starts. As always, I'm your commish. That is your vice commish, Joseph Ransom Harris. Have a great day. And as always, don't forget to kiss your commish.
Thanks, Aaron. Go Pack, go.
Thanks.